Did you know that the average woman only uses about 20% of her closet? That means you. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about me too. So, I want to get into the top 7 reasons why we're not wearing our clothes. And I want to talk about what we can do about it. So, come on in, let's talk about it. Let's talk about those items that have sentimental value. You know, the ones where you had the first date, or where you went to prom, or where you went to something special that creates such a memory that you tie it to the garments that you were wearing. So, what can we do about that? And take a look at this. This is a garment that I wore, I want to say about 12 years ago. And 12 years ago, I wore this to a Mary J. Blige concert. Ooh, I had me a ball. And I went with my husband, and it was my son's first concert, my youngest son. I've held on to this dress. I think I've worn it once since then, and it's still in my closet. I was a completely different size. I was in a different time in my lifespan, meaning things that are hip hugging with stripes and boldness and all that. I felt then that I could rock it. Now, not so much. So it begs the question of why do I still have it? Well, I won't in a short while, because if you check here, you're going to see that I am doing a complete series on how to do an extreme makeover on your closet. I am doing an extreme declutter, and I'm digitizing my wardrobe. So follow me for that series because I think it's going to be amazing. But back to this. What can we do about it? Well, first thing is photos. I have tons of photos that we took when we went to that concert. So I have something for my memory banks. And if this was something that I felt like I could still wear, I think what we need to do with these sentimental pieces is to create a very defined space where we store them, so that if we want to go down memory lane, we can do that. Or if we want to show our kids or grandkids, hey, I saved this for you, etc., etc., there's a home and a space, a time and a place for those nuggets. And that's how we get some manageability and control all that sentiment that's building up and taking up prime real estate in our closets. So that's number 1. Next, aspirational items. So, what are these? These are those items that you buy when you're out and about, and you're buying them for what we'll call your future self. So, it's not the lifestyle or maybe even the size or body type that you have today, it's the one that you aspire to be. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, because I think it's a form of goal setting. But I do think that we have to be realistic with it. So if you buy an item like I did here, um, and I will explain this item in a minute, but if you buy an item and you've got it and a year goes by and you still have not gotten to where you aspired to be, then it's time to just let it go, right? And if it's meant for you, it will be back one day. So this is a dress that I bought, and I bought this maybe 10 years ago. And what I planned on doing was revamping my closet at that time to become what I'll call that New York artsy person, where items just drape on the body and it flows and it kind of gently clings to the hips. Now, Looking back at it, the inspiration that I was looking at as far as the people that were wearing those were people that were maybe half my size. They had a structure where they had, let's say, smaller bust, and they had hips. Now, I happen to be busty, and I'm also someone with a rectangular shape. So that grazing of the hip is not going to happen with me because there's no hip to graze. So, reality check is coming to me now all these years later. I haven't worn it for 10 years. Therefore, it's time to just let it be free. Free. Just let it go. Okay? So, aspirational items, that's number 2. On to the next one. The sunk cost fallacy. That sounds very fancy schmancy. So, what is it? That's when you spend money on something and you haven't worn it, but you don't want to get rid of it because you spent money on something and you're guilty and you don't want it to be a waste of money. So, you just keep it in the closet and it collects dust, basically. So at the end of the day, although you've kept the garment, you haven't worn it. So the cost is still sunken, right? So look at this dress. I've had this dress for about 6 or 7 years. I bought this when I got into that whole vibe of, oh, you can wear like the long shirt dress. You can wear it with a pair of cutoffs and a little tank, or you can wear it as a dress, or you can do a multitude of things with it. This thing fits me like a sack, and that's why I never pulled for it. That, along with the fact that it also has a print on it and there are no pockets, it was a wrap. Never worn. And that is indeed a waste of money. So, how do you get over stuff like this? Well, you just have to woman up and realize that, okay, the money's spent, it's not coming back. I'm not going to wear it. So, my bad, I'm going to have to take the loss. And at that point, you have to turn to the 3 things that you can do. You're either going to gift it to someone, you're going to donate it, or sell it and perhaps get back some of what you spent for it. But it's really a done deal at this point. There's nothing you can do because you know you're not going to wear it, so just call it. It's a wrap. Okay? Next. Okay, this one is guilt. I kind of touched on this before, but this is really tied to, like when someone gives you a gift and you really appreciate it and you would feel absolutely guilty and torn up to just throw it away or give it away, etc. But you know what? If they gave it in good faith and in good spirit, then what you need to do is basically thank them in the moment, thank that garment, right? That's still sitting in your closet, appreciate the gift that was given, but then what I would suggest you do, just to, make that guilt feel a little better, donate it so that it can go to a worthy cause or gift it to someone else that you think would be better suited for it. So if you think about why you've not worn it, why it's not suitable for you, think to yourself about who it may be suitable for and give that person a gift that they may love. Okay? There's not much you can do about that. Sometimes we get phenomenal gifts that are amazing, but they're just not our style. And sometimes we get gifts that we're like, what on earth were they thinking? But you know what? It's the thought that counts, even if the thought was a little out there. So, gift it or donate it. Cut the losses, free up the space. All right, let's see what we've got next. Okay, so the other reason we keep things in that closet is really tied to uncertainty. We're not quite sure whether or not it's something that we might need in the future or may want to wear in the future. So, what can we do about that one? That one can be it can be a little jello-y, right? A little wriggly. So I think when you're looking at your closet, you need to create a maybe pile. Like maybe I'll wear it, or maybe one day I'll have a reason to pull this out, and create a little space for that. But again, after you hit that 1 year mark and your maybe has not turned into a oh yeah, then it's time for it to go. It's got to go. Just smack yourself and do it and say, oh, well, I gave it the good old college try, but it just didn't move from maybe to a definite. Okay? So let's see what we've got up next for number 6.
On my lips and check a fingertip.
Okay, this one is huge. And this is one that I've been through and I've been dealing with for the past year and a half. And that is sizes. Having items in multiple sizes, right? So in my closet, I had at one point, I think I had 3 sizes that I fluctuated in between. I am now at a size that I've been able to maintain, right, and sustain for a good year. So I feel comfortable now doing the old heave ho to some of those other sizes. If you're still unsure, keep what I would call basic essentials, just a handful, not many, just a couple of essentials for if you do fluctuate, meaning you have a, a recognizable and significant enough weight loss or weight gain that you may need to pull an item out. And you just need a handful of those, because if that gets to a point where that gain or loss is something that's sustained, you're going to have to change the wardrobe anyway. And I suggest that you look at filling in those gaps at the time that it happens, because your lifestyle and what you're doing now is not necessarily what you may be doing when and if you have that weight fluctuation that's significant enough that you need to wear other sizes. So that's the recommendation on that one. And now for the last piece of the puzzle. That's identity. So, what do I mean by identity? Okay. For those of you that have been watching me, I say this just for context, but a couple years ago, my life was predominantly about my corporate life, and those clothes reflected that, right? Some casual on the side, but for the most part, my items were business casual or formal corporate wear. Today, it's the exact opposite, right? So I am more of a casual, elevated basics. I've got items that I would say are statement pieces, because I'm just more out there. I'm more free. I'm more um, expressing myself as far as fashion. So it's a very different lifestyle. So I think what tends to happen is we hold on to the old lifestyle because of what I said in number 6, uncertainty. We're not quite sure, or whatever the number is. I'll make sure that the list is here. But we tend to hold on to things because we're not sure if it's going to boomerang and come back around or not. But once you get to a certain time in your life, and it's been a year, it's been 2 years, shoot, it's been 3 years, and you're still packed down and bogged down with the weight of those clothes, and they're taking up prime real estate, it is time to just declutter, reorganize, let it go, and we're going to do what we must. We are going to gift, we are going to donate, or we're going to sell. Okay? We are going to be judicious about what it is we want to keep because we want to make sure that it expresses us and the lifestyle and where we are now. Okay? So these are my 7 tips. So I hope these tips have been helpful. They've certainly been helpful to me as I am doing my decluttering in order to purge and get to my full digitization. And I cannot wait until this is done. This has been extremely helpful for me in helping me be very, very judicious. So the examples that I threw up, those are things that I'm actually gone through as I'm doing my decluttering. So hope this helps, and I will see you in the next one. And if you're following along on my series of decluttering, purge, and digitization, the next video will be out this Friday. So join me for that. Bye.